Welcome to Echoes in the Black, a solo role-playing podcast where darkness presses in, torches gutter low, and the dice decide what survives the night. I am the soloist, and this is a hybrid of narrative storytelling and solo tabletop role-playing, using the Shadowdark role-playing game as its foundation. In this series I'll be following a small band of adventurers as they descend into forgotten places, cross dangerous frontiers, and stumble into mysteries far older than they are. There is an overall story arc, but I genuinely do not know where it will end, because I will not be cheating the dice. Whatever the dice say stands. Good, bad, tragic or absurd. After all, the dice whisper face. This is not a scripted drama. This is not a novel with dice as decoration. This is a real solo role-playing game campaign, played openly and honestly, where mechanics, random tables and oracle questions actively shape the story. I'll be using Shadowdark role-playing game with one or two lighthouse rules, which I'll go into at a later date. I'll be running solo using the SoloDark rules and supported by elements of the Mythic Game Master Emulator for open-ended questions, twists and unexpected turns. Sometimes the dice will give me exactly what I hoped for. Sometimes they will ruin my plans completely. I'll be accepting both. This is a narrative-first actual play. You'll hear a dramatised story of the characters and their world, dice rolls and oracle results that shape events, occasional mechanical call-outs and table lookups, and world building created in real time. Episodes will move between narrative, lore and rules as needed, and throughout the season I'll weave in flashbacks, moments from the character's past that may echo forward into the present. Those echoes may change relationships. They may introduce enemies. They may explain fears, flaws, or unfinished business. I'll be using a wide range of random tables and tools, from official Shadowdark material to third-party supplements and classic OSR resources. Whenever I use one, I'll call it out and credit it. Nothing behind the curtain, no quiet re-rolls, no hidden retcons. What happens, happens. One important thing to understand going in: Shadowdark is deadly. No one is immune. Not protagonist, not favourites, not main characters. If someone dies, the world keeps turning. New characters may rise. Old stories may end abruptly. That's part of the tension, part of the magic. And that's why the stakes matter. This project exists because of the paths cleared by others. Principally, Tales of the Manticore and Me, Myself and I showed me how powerful solo role-playing games and storytelling can be when the dice are treated as collaborators rather than obstacles. I'm also deeply grateful to the Arcane Library and to Kelsey Dion for creating Shadowdark, a game that captures danger, urgency, and old-school fantasy tension with brutal elegance. Shadowdark is the beating heart of this campaign. The first season is called The Crown Below. It is a story about buried power, forgotten agreements, and what happens when the past realises it has been remembered. The year is 812. The city of Carval squats beneath rain and stone, ruled by Corran Dreymire, Lord Protector of Westmere. His grip tightens by the day. Purges, disappearances, whispers of ancient magic stirring beneath the streets. Most people don't know why the ground trembles at night, but something below does. Before we meet our characters, and before choices are made, we will ask the world its first question. I'll be using the Oracle in SoloDark. which is a d20. Is the crown below already influencing events in Carval? The first dice roll of the campaign is a 7, and that is a no, but the city sleeps for now. The crown below is buried deep enough that only tremors remain, rumours, half-dreams, and children's rhymes. But something has been disturbed, and disturbances don't stay small. Rain falls on Carval, on broken streets, on locked doors, on secrets that won't stay buried. And tonight, 4 lives move closer together than any of them had planned. Our story begins with a woman walking barefoot through the city gates.
The rain has been falling since dawn, not the gentle kind, not the cleansing kind. This is Westmere rain, cold, heavy and unkind, the kind that soaks through cloth and bone alike. Rosalind of Trodden stumbles through the outer gate of Carval barefoot. Her feet are split and bleeding, black with road filth. Each step sends a jolt of pain up her legs, but she barely reacts anymore. Pain has become a background noise. The purple robe of Ord clings to her frame, darkened almost to black by rain and grime. It hangs off her like a borrowed thing, too large now for the woman she's become. Her head is bare, her face is wrong. The old burned scars glisten wetly, twisting her expression into something half melted, half reformed. One eye is slightly lower than the other. Her lips pull unevenly when she breathes. She hasn't eaten in 3 days. She hasn't slept in 2. She's not sure how far she's walked, only that she must reach Carval. She uses the crowbar as a walking staff now. Each step is an act of stubborn defiance against gravity, against exhaustion, against Ord himself. The vision swims, the city walls blur. For a moment, she thinks she sees equations written in the rain. Ord's voice not spoken, just understood. Equilibrium approaches correction. Her knees buckle. Redemption or ashes, she whispers. I will see which is mine. She collapses into the mud, just inside an alleyway. So we have our first player character. Welcome to the world, Rosalind of Trodden. Now, quite what or where Trodden is, I don't yet know. But Rosalind is a priest, first level, human. When I've rolled her characteristics, they were possibly the best characteristics I've ever rolled for any character ever. She has a strength of 15, giving her +2, intelligence of 15, giving her +2, dexterity of 15, giving her +2, wisdom of 17, giving her +3, constitution of 15, +2, and her only weakness is her charisma of 6, which will give her -2 on interactions and anything requiring the charisma stat. When I came up with the concept of Rosalind, because she was so good with her statistics, I thought it'd be great if she actually started with nothing, and that's what I've given her. So there will be some backstory coming, but she has been outcast from her church, and she suffered quite an horrific burn to her face, which we will go into in a backstory. But all she possesses are some ragged purple robes, and for some unknown reason, a crowbar. She knows 2 spells at level 1, and they are Cure Wounds and Holy Weapon. And as another minor problem for her, because she's been cast out from a church for whatever reason, and we will probably go into that at some point, she is unable to use either of her spells on herself, so she cannot cure herself and she cannot grant herself Holy Weapon, which in Shadowdark will give, I think it's a +1 to a weapon. It basically makes a weapon magical. So she has no money, she's on her own, her head is shaved, she has this horrific scar to her face, she's in ragged robes, she has nothing on her feet, just this crowbar to use as a walking stick. Her title as a neutral alignment character is Seeker, so she will be known as the Seeker at various points, and her background came up as banished, hence the backstory of her being exiled or thrown out of a church. Her god that she follows, or the deity that she follows, is Ord. Now, in the Shadowdark rulebook, Ord, the Unbending, the Wise, the Secret Keeper, is a god of magic, knowledge, secrets, and equilibrium. So, I have a feeling Ord might actually become a fairly important part of this story, certainly of this narrative arc I'm thinking of for season 1 of this podcast, called The Crown Below. So we'll see what happens. At the moment, she's in a bit of a predicament. She's stumbled in at night, she's been walking for days, she's not eaten, she's feeling fairly weak and vulnerable, and she's all alone. She is seeking some kind of redemption. Where she will find that, how she will find that, I don't know. Because, as I've mentioned in the introduction, Shadowdark can be a deadly game, and the dice will whisper fate for Rosalind. But anyway, on with the story. Jen was halfway through the south gate quarter when she saw the shape crumpled near the wall. Too still to be sleeping, too small to be safe. She hesitated only a heartbeat before hurrying closer. The woman lay on her side, bare feet, cold and dirty, a cheap cloak pulled tight around a thin frame. Rain plastered pale fabric to her skin. Her head was shaved clean, rainwater tracing the uneven ridges of a burn along one side of her face. Jin knelt, breathing coming sharp. She pressed some fingers to the woman's neck, a pulse, weak and fast. "Oh gods," Jin whispered. Hey, don't you dare die right here." She stroked the woman's face. The heat rolling off her was wrung, fever hot, like a coal buried under skin. "She's burning up." The woman's eyes fluttered open, clouded and unfocused. Her lips moved, shaping words that never quite made it out. Just a rasp swallowed by the rain. Jin glanced back towards the gate. 2 silhouettes stood beneath the archway, city watch, halberds resting easy, helmets tilted just enough to suggest interest. They weren't rushing over, they were watching, measuring whether this was worth noticing. Jin swore under her breath. No, she murmured. "They'll throw you in a cell and forget you exist." She didn't give herself time to reconsider. Jin hooked the woman's arm over her shoulder and hauled her upright. The weight, or lack of it, nearly sent her stumbling. The woman was frighteningly light, all bone and hunger and stubbornness. Together they lurched into the maze of side streets, rain swallowing them whole. Okay, I think it's time for a dice roll, and we'll ask the Oracle what do those two guards do? The narrative says that they're watching, but not particularly interested. The rain is pouring down. It's probably close to midnight. They're probably tired, cold, and probably can't be bothered. But let's see what the Oracle says. I think we'll give this advantage to the fact that they won't do anything. So that means rolling 2d20. And if the lower roll comes out a 1 to a 9, they don't do anything. So let's see what we get. 2d20. One of them comes out a natural 20, which would have been an exceptional yes. However, the second die comes out at a 9, which says no. So there's a flicker of curiosity. In fact, I think one of the guards probably steps towards Jin and Rosalind, but thinks better of it and heads back to his mate, standing under the awning of a shop, no doubt, keeping cover by the gate. And Jin and Rosalind are safe for now. Okay, so this is our second player character named Jin. She is a 19-year-old female human witch. Her title is Fortune Teller. Her alignment is neutral, and her background is Woodborn, which is a really intriguing title. Her statistics, well, they're a bit more average than Rosalind's, as you'll see. She has a strength of 8 for a -1 modifier, intelligence of 10, dexterity of 12 for a +1 modifier, a wisdom of 7 for a -2 modifier, a constitution of 10, and a charisma of 16 for a +3 modifier. So I think really due to her age she's quite a naive girl, but she is very charming, and in fact she runs her own little fortune telling business in Carval, which has probably got her into trouble quite a few times, but again we'll go into that when we do the background story for Jin. But for now she's a young girl with long wild white hair. One interesting little thing that I've given her is the ability to place some dancing blue lights across her hand, across the knuckles and in her palm. It has no benefit in the game, it's just an interesting little quirk, I suppose you could call it, to suggest the magical nature of her background and how she was found. As I've said, she was Woodborn, and as you'll hear in the not too distant future, her adoptive mother, Nonna, found her in the hollow of an old magical tree, but we'll come back to that shortly. Okay, back to our story. Rosalind worked candlelight and pain. The room swam into focus in pieces. First the low ceiling, then the soft gutter of a candle, and then the ache that lived in her bones, as if it had settled there permanently. Her throat burned when she tried to swallow. Her hands shook, though she wasn't cold. She was lying on a narrow bed beneath a thin blanket that smelled faintly of smoke and herbs. Someone sat beside her. Jin. Her white hair was pulled back loosely, strands escaping to frame a face drawn tight with exhaustion. Her eyes were red, not from sleep, Rosalind thought, from worry or tears. "You're safe," Jin said quietly, as if afraid the words might break something. "Mostly. You scared the hell out of me." Rosalind tried to speak. The sound that came out was barely a rasp. Her gaze drifted slow and deliberate, taking in the room, the single window streaked with rain, the cluttered table, the small iron charm at Jin's neck. A watch sigil. Rosalind's body went rigid. "City watch," she croaked. Jin froze just for a moment, then smiled, not easily, not convincingly, but with intent. Just a trinket I won in a bet, she said. Comes in useful sometimes. The rain tapped softly against the windows. Once, twice, again. Rosalind closed her eyes. She let out a long breath she hadn't realised she'd been holding. Ward places instruments, she said, her voice thin but steady, where correction is needed. Jin stared at her. Are you mad at me? Rosalind opened her eyes again and looked directly at her. I'm mad about everything, she said. Then after a pause, but not you. Jin laughed softly. It came out wrong, and she wiped her face with the back of her hand and looked away. It was later, how much later Rosalind couldn't tell, when the pain changed, not worsened, more focused. She sat bolt upright with a gasp, her hands clawing at the air before finding the cold weight of iron beside the bed, her crowbar. Her scars burned, not like fire, like alignment, like something being pulled into place whether it wanted to be or not. Below, Rosalind whispered, then louder. Below, below, below. Jin was on her feet in an instant, looking around. What? She shouted. What's below? Rosalind didn't seem to hear her. Her eyes were unfocused now, staring through walls and stone into something vast and wrong. Tears streamed down her scarred face, cutting clean lines through grime and ash. There's a machine beneath this city, Rosalind said, each word dragged out as if pulled from her chest, that lies to the universe. The words emptied her. She retched suddenly, violently, black bile splattering the floorboards. Then her strength gave out. Rosalind collapsed back into the mattress unconscious before Jin could catch her. The candle flickered, and somewhere below Carval, something old and patient turned, just slightly, towards the surface. Okay, time to meet our third out of the 4 characters that I'll be playing during this campaign. This is Rowan Calcy. Rowan is a human fighter. His title is Squire, his alignment lawful, and he's a soldier. Now, Rowan has quite a backstory too, in that he's just back from a war, and we'll maybe explore what that war was, who it was against, and why Rowan was there, and possibly more importantly, why Rowan is not there anymore and he's back here in Carval, but that's for another episode. His statistics are Strength 16 for +3, Intelligence 10, Dexterity 12 for a +1, Wisdom 6 for -2. That's 2 characters with quite a low wisdom, perhaps naivety or stubbornness or just lack of awareness, I suppose. Constitution 14 +2 and Charisma 11. He has 10 hit points and his armor class is 14 thanks to a chainmail vest that he's brought back from the war with him. Now, Jin and Rowan know each other, as you'll find out shortly as I introduce Rowan into the story. Rowan Calcy did not knock. He fell against the door hard enough to make the wood groan in its frame. Jin froze mid-step, candle trembling in her hand as the sound echoed through the narrow room. Another impact followed, weaker, desperate. Then a voice, slurred, hoarse, barely holding itself together. Jin! There was a pause. A wet breath dragged in through broken ribs. Jin, I swear if that's you singing again, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear it. The door shuddered once more. Jin wrenched it open. Rowan spilled inside. He was tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who had once stood straight in a shield wall and mattered for it. Now he was barely holding himself upright. Blood matted his dark hair, one eye already swelling shut. A jagged cut ran from his temple down his cheek, half caked and still weeping. His armour was dented inward as if something had tried very hard to break his chest open. His sword was gone, and he smelled of cheap ale and fear. "Rowan, gods, what happened to you?" Jim whispered. He tried to grin, but the effort pulled at the wound on his face and he gave up. "Good festival," he muttered. "Terrible crowd."
His knees buckled. He hit the floor hard, the rest of the fight finally catching up with him. Blood dripped onto Jin's floorboards, dark and unapologetic. "We lost," Rowan said. Jin blinked. "Lost what?" The argument, the drinking contest, and then the fight." He pressed his palms to the floor, breathing through his nose like that might fix something. "The lads from the tavern were there. Thought it'd be a good idea to celebrate not being dead anymore." He laughed and it came out crooked. "Turns out the locals disagreed." Jin folded her arms. "Define disagreed?" Rowan winced as he shifted. Chairs were involved. The table stopped existing. I think someone tried to stab me with a ladle. Could have been a fork. Hard to say. He looked up at her, eyes swelling shut. "No one's dead though. I checked mostly." The rain tapped at the window like it was judging him. "Boy, they hit harder than I remember. Either that or I've lost my touch." He tried to stand and failed. "Still, I think we won on spirit though." He looked up and froze. His gaze snagged on the figure lying on the narrow bed, the bald woman in the faded purple robe, the scars that twisted her face when the candlelight caught them, the iron crowbar resting within reach of her hand. "Jen," Rowan murmured, suddenly more sober than he had any right to be. "Who the hell is that?" His eyes flicked back to Rosalind. "And why does she look like someone the city buries when it doesn't want any questions?" Jen shut the door and slid the bolt into place.
And this is where we leave the story for now. There's still one more character to meet, but that will have to wait until next time. The world does not pause when we stop listening. Wounds fester, secrets shift, and the dark remembers every step taken within it. Tonight the dice have spoken. Their verdict stands. The world has changed, but not yet broken. Every choice tightens the path ahead, and the dark is learning who you are. Whatever was lost is lost. Whatever survives carries the echo forward. Thank you for listening to Echoes in the Dark. This story is only just beginning, and I genuinely hope you'll come along for the ride as it unfolds, wherever the dice decide to take it. Some paths will be dark, some short, none certain. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a great deal if you would leave a review, give it a thumbs up or a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. Those small gestures make a huge difference, especially for a new show like this, and they help other listeners find their way here too. If you want to help out even more, spread the word. Tell a friend who loves dark fantasy, solo RPGs, or stories where the dice are allowed to be cruel. You can also look out for Echoes in the Black on social media. Details for the Instagram page, Facebook group and Twitter account will be coming very soon, and that's where I'll be sharing updates, art and behind the scenes glimpses as the campaign grows. And if you'd like to get in touch directly, you can always email me at echoesintheblack@gmail.com. Until next time, remember, this is Shadowdark. The world is deadly, and the dice don't lie. They just whisper, fate.